Okay, but you can click on the video icon as well, the house plus, send me a request to join, then I'll accept. I'll see it here, then I'll accept. So why Felix is at that? Welcome to my personal space. I call this street and cathedral. Basically, I created this platform to educate and to also for us to have voice. Over time, I've been ruminating that, okay, I've worked on couples of projects where we have to wait for some, icons to come on board and speak. But now I feel like there should be a platform where, oh, Felix is unable to join.
Send him a request again, a fresh request.
Yeah, I just did. I just did.
Can you chat him up on WhatsApp?
I want to screenshot the icon I'm talking about to him so he can see it. I'll send it to him on WhatsApp, okay? Just give me 1 second, please.
Right, okay.
So I just messaged him. He said he can hear both of us. I told him that that's because he joined as a viewer. So while on the live, he needs to send me a request. Then I would accept. Apparently, Felix has been used to maybe
Zoom calls.
Zoom. So
I know. It's Zoom calls because I think that's what we use often.
Yeah.
We use Zoom calls, so we're all used to Zoom.
Yeah. So I tried
I'm not
to.
really person as well. I think this is my first time coming live on IG. I'm not also an Instagram person. Yeah.
Okay. Finally.
Finally.
Yo, sorry guys. I tried joining with my computer. My phone is not the best, so I was trying to join on my computer. I guess the challenge was because I was trying to join with my PC.
Okay. Well, like I was saying, thank you guys for being on board. I really, really appreciate it. I know you guys are busy people. This is
But why is it that I can't see Felix? I can't see Felix, I can't see you. Why is that?
No idea. I think I can see you. I can see you both.
I can see Felix. I can see him.
Are you serious? So why can't I see Felix?
I don't know.
I'm seeing just you, Dimeji.
Apparently maybe there is something you need to press on your screen. I don't know. But I can see Felix like very well.
Yes. And I can see both of you as well.
Kaltumi.
So now it's me. No way.
Okay, so should we proceed, or you want to fix that?
No, let's proceed, please. That shouldn't, as I can hear his voice. So
okay, thank you guys for joining on board. This is Kaltumi Abdulazeez. Kaltumi Abdulazeez is a vast traveled personnel. She has represented Nigeria in different status quo and platform. She's a global icon, woman. Should I use the word woman or lady? Depending on how you like to be, because now you're married. African women don't like to be called women; they like to be called ladies.
I'm still a young person, so however
she's
you choose to address me, it's fine.
I would say she's a global leader, a lady that we need to watch out for. Before you join on board, Felix, I said Kaltumi. Kaltumi, once I catch Kaltumi, I'm going to her bag. I'll pick her passport. Use her passport to rub my head and say, "Oh God of Kaltumi, open my way for me." Say nobody travel reach Kaltumi. We can end this live now, and Kaltumi is in Helsinki. She's just vast like that. So thank you for coming on board. And this is Felix Sidione. Felix Sidione has been a brother to me. I don't like calling him a Cameroonian. Felix is a Nigerian to me. I don't know why he claims another country from our country. Kaltumi, do you agree Felix is a Cameroonian?
Don't mind him. He needs to trace his origin back to Nigeria. He needs to.
So we've adopted. So Felix has been a global icon. He has been playing his own part. He's involved in youth empowerment and project development. He has been a debater over the years as well. Felix has been vast and has been outspoken. To now start going in details of your profile, we need a very different session for that, because we are not going to finish within 1 hour. You guys have a very long and cumbersome profile, from Washington, Mandela Washington, fellow to, I don't even know how to list Kaltumi's, because Kaltumi, you need a different program for your profile, and Felix, you need a different radio station for your profile. So thank you guys for coming on board. As I was explaining, this is Street and Cathedral. Street and Cathedral is born out of the upon my meditation, I realized that spirituality, the cathedral there represents spirituality. It doesn't necessarily mean Christianity. It represents spirituality. So, and the street means, the voice of the common man. This is where a common man can come and learn. It is not knowledge far-fetched from either you are from an urban area or rural area. I'm trying to bridge that gap. So my platform is here to educate, to reorientate, to enlighten, as well as sometimes to entertain, which we can't deviate from it. So thank you guys for coming on board. I do not take you guys for granted. I know you guys are very, very busy people. I appreciate you. And so can we kickstart?
Yeah, thank you for having us on your program, Jimenji, and it's amazing to see both of you again. I know when I was trying to join the call, I heard you, or I think I heard Kaltumi say the last time she saw you in person was when we were in Cairo. And but I saw Kaltumi in November in Nairobi, just some months back. We were in Nairobi. Like you said, she's all over the place. And Kaltumi, please, like you say, Nigeria, cut me soap.
I need that soap first too.
Felix, there's something else, I swear.
All right.
Anyway,
so
thanks for having us, Dimeji. One of the things that we've always echoed is creating a platform for young people to, participate in a meaningful way and also in a constructive way. And beginning and by creating this sort of space, where you kind of showcase the work that young people are doing, I think it's a good start towards, a bigger sort of output of what we hope to see in Africa. So yeah, thank you for having us.
Well, you guys did me the honor. I appreciate. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. So let's jump into the heart of the conversation, which I'm going to throw for. The topic is international diplomacy and Africa's projection. Africa's projection in the midst of what is going on is the fact that we are trying as much as possible to be part of the Africa we want, to be part of the Africa where Africa is now what we are proud of, and we will say, yes, this is our homeland. We are not what we used to be. So I know that you guys have been contributing your quota in professionalism and all. But so my first question, which I'm going to throw forth to the House, is the AU's agenda, which is 2063. which we look forward to the SDG goal. They says this is going to be an improvement, an all improvement for Africa economically, politically, and socially. As it stands right now, as we're looking at things happening right now, do you think we are in line with actually fulfilling that vision, or do you think at some point there will be an extension with the way the leadership structure of Africa is going, and engagement and all? So who wants to, Felix, do you want to be a gentleman?
Of course, I'll be the gentleman by letting Kaltumi go first. Please, Kaltumi, you have the floor.
Okay. Thank you for the question, Dimeji. We all know that Africa has suffered a multi-dimensional, conflict, and we've also suffered. Africa as a continent has suffered, over 500 years of slave trade, dehumanization, exploitation, name it, and all that. And most African colonies are still trying to, find their ground towards development and growth. And I think it is part of that vision that the AU came into play. We talks about unification and bringing together Africa as a continent to sort of promote interconnectedness, and also to see how we can leverage on the similarities that we have as a continent, in order to achieve the Africa that we want. However, I think we are making efforts towards achieving that. I wouldn't say it is not achievable. Of course, it is achievable, but we are not there yet. And some of the efforts that have been put into place, we know about the African free trade idea, to sort of promote, free movement of Africans within Africa to trade. That is something that was sort of a consensus within African leaders, even though it is not yet, fully established, I would say, because, we still have issues. We still have issues such as boundaries. For instance, as an African, I shouldn't need a visa to go to another African country. These are some of the objectives of what we hope to achieve, towards the 2063 agenda. And as also a Nigerian, I should be able to trade in Kenya, in Uganda, in Rwanda, Burundi, name it, where I can confidently use my naira, and I don't necessarily have to depend on using the dollars for trade exchange. These are some of the upgrades that we are hoping to achieve as Africans, as a continent. But this will not be, possible without African leaders coming together to work together to share same vision, to be intentional about the specific output that yields towards, the outcome, the vision of the overall vision. And I know that we are still struggling, especially when it comes to insecurities. We can see what is happening in Africa. Africa is presently conflict-genic. Nigeria is not even is not out of issues of insecurity. We are still battling insecurity. We have a lot of militia group leveraging on the vulnerability of the government to explore, to maim, and to to sort of maim, kill, destroy, and do whatever it is that, I don't know, whatever that hopes to be of positivity. I don't know what is it to them, but yes, we are still struggling with insecurity.
So Felix, I want you to pick you up on the question is still the same. The Africa, AU, the Africa we want. Do you think we're in the right direction towards achieving that vision, or what do you think has been the engagement so far?
Yeah, thank you, Jumenji, for the question. And, following up on the response from Kaltumi, permit me quickly read to you the 7 aspirations the African Union designed around 2015-2016. And on the premise of that, we can ask ourselves the question, by the year 2063, when Mama Dlamini Zuma wrote that letter to Kwame Nkrumah and all the other forefathers saying that in the year 2063, we should have done it, we should have done that. Let me just quickly read it to us. It's very brief. 7. The first one says, a prosperous Africa based on inclusive growth and sustainable development. That's the first one. The second one says, an integrated continent, politically united based on the ideals of Pan-Africanism and the vision of African Renaissance. The third one reads, an
I think
Africa
we
with a
lost him,
strong...
right?
Yeah, the
Sorry?
network is buffering. Yeah, you can continue. Your network was buffering. That's why.
Oh, sorry, my bad. I mean, that's Africa for us, right? Our network is usually not very stable. Anyway, I was saying these aspirations as proposed to us by the African Union around 2015, 2016. I just wanted to read the 7 so that we can question if we are there already. It's just like a kind of reminder. And I said the first one says, we want a prosperous Africa based on inclusive growth and sustainable development. The second one says, an integrated continent, politically united, based on the ideals of Pan-Africanism and the vision of African Renaissance. The third one, an Africa of good governance, democracy, respect for human rights, justice, and the rule of law. The fourth one says, a peaceful and secure Africa. The fifth one says, an Africa with a strong cultural identity, common heritage, shared values and ethics. The sixth one says, an Africa whose development is people-driven, relying on the potential of African people, especially its women and youths, and caring for children. And the seventh, and the last one says, an Africa as strong, united, influential global player and partner. Now, in response to the question as to, are we anywhere getting to the realization of these 7 aspirations? I'll tell you what.
I apologize for that. I wouldn't know what happened. I think it's the network. So
no problem. We're in Africa. No worries. We're in Africa. It is completely understandable. I think that. Sorry, Jimenje, let me just continue from there. I think that the internet just showed or answered the question to say that we still have a very long way. We still have a very long way. No, but true. You know, when we were just trying to sugarcoat the whole issue, saying, no, we can do
we are
it.
making progress.
And the internet is like, why are you lying? The internet was like, why are you lying? Say it as it is.
Oh my
God. Okay. Let me pick it from there and throw a question. And Felix, Kaltumi, you guys have been involved in youth empowerment. I've followed Kaltumi over the years now with Legacy, if I'm right, Legacy Foundation. Felix, I've known you to be involved in youth empowerment and debates and all. Now, Salif Johnson, the former president of Liberia, said Africa is not poor, but poorly managed. So my question is, are youths in Africa also involved in this? Because youth could be tagged as two-edged sword. They could be tremendous economic force or a challenge of instability if not properly channeled. So my question now is, how much of this youth does the leadership structure explore in the continent, like involve inclusion of youth?
You know what, Jimenji? I'm not seeing Kaltumi on the call. Maybe network has messed up with us again. Anyway, but before I answer this question, permit me just, I didn't get chance to really give the first response. But what I was trying to say with the first response as to, are we on the path that can say we are going towards the attainment of Agenda 2063, or are we going to need another attainment of Agenda 2063? I'll tell you what, we are progressively going there. It's true that we still have baby steps, but one thing we need to come to agreement with is that if you look at the number of crises, I'm talking about security crisis, I'm talking the number of wars we had 15 years back or 20 years back on the continent, and you compare to the number of political or let me say security crises we have right now, it has significantly reduced. Now, I'm not in any way trying to say that we cannot do better. It's a progressive thing. And look at that. Most of the crises we have on the continent right now, although some are, the Boko Haram things and this and that, but notice that most of the crises we have now are young people who are fed up of a failed regime by most of our political leaders, and these young people telling themselves, you know what, these guys have failed us for so long, we too can step to this position and make of our country what we want. Look at the wind of change that is blowing in Francophone Africa. I'm talking about Mali. I'm talking about Burkina Faso. I'm talking about Niger just recently. I mean, even in Cameroon where we are speaking, this regime which has been in power since what, 42 years. Now, Cameroon is susceptible to get into that kind of crisis because young people in Cameroon are fed up with old grandfathers who have been there and who should have loved to give room for other people to do it, but they're not doing it. All I'm saying is that, true, the security we want to have on our continent is not yet there, but we are doing baby steps. And even the instances of insecurity we are having is because some young people feel that we can do better, and so they've decided to take the fate of their country in their own hands. It's like, I don't know if it is commonly said in Nigeria as well. We in Cameroon say, liberty is not given, you seize your liberty. You know, when you are in your mother's house.
A quick one, Felix.
Yeah, sorry.
I want to throw the question before Kaltumi came on board. Please just hold your thought for 1 second. Kaltumi, before you came on board, I said the ex-president, former president of Liberia, Salif Johnson, said, Africa is not poor, but poorly managed. So my question is, are youths of Africa also involved in the poor management in Africa? Because we can see the youth as, two-edged sword. If they could be tremendous economic force or challenge of instability if not properly channeled. So my question is, how much of these youth does the leadership structure explore in the continent, including them in the growth, involving them in the growth and things that that pertain to the continent? So Felix, just complete your thought, then Kaltumi will pick the question as well.
Yeah. So, I was completing my thought on the first question, and I was yet to come to the second question because I didn't really get a chance to speak to the first question. And you see, just concluding on the first question, we live in a global age where today you don't need to look for information. Information comes and meets you in your phone. Today, generally, we will say young people are not very zealous about doing research and everything. But whether we like it or not, when you look at Europe at a point went through what we call the Renaissance, the reawakening, where they were questioning the medieval system and everything. And in the process of questioning this medieval system, the next phase that came was the Industrial Revolution. And after the Industrial Revolution, Europe became developed the way it is today. I am of the opinion that the current era where we are in Africa is our own Renaissance, where Africa are questioning everything. The stories they told us that Mungo Park discovered River Niger. The people who were living in Niger, were they not aware that that river was there? How come it's Mungo Park who discovered that? Those kind of things. Or, even the stories where they tell us that the people or the original Egyptians were white. No, but today Africans are realizing that these Kemites were as dark as you and I. They were not necessarily the white. I mean, you and I were in Cairo, and most of the pyramids we saw, the nose of these pyramids were destroyed. Why do you think the nose were destroyed? Africans are rethinking everything. I think it's Abdul who said the illiterate of the 21st century is not going to be the one who cannot read or write, but the one who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. And today, Africans are unlearning all these lies which were imposed to us as a result of our colonial education. And now they are re-questioning all of these things. And that is why I say, if you look at even the Asianism around Africanism nowadays, it is increasing. More and more African youths are asking themselves, why is it like this in my country? And they are taking the challenge. It is true. Now, going on the second question, before we give to Kaltumi, true. We need human capital on our continent to build it. Now, the question is, should we young people wait on government to give it to us? My answer is no. These people will not give it to us. Evidence, experience has shown to us that most of them don't want to give it to us. It is up to young people to go into these politics and take it from them. For example, in Cameroon, we say, if you don't do politics, politics will do you. The reason why the current regime in Cameroon is always winning elections is because many Cameroonians have abandoned, saying that they don't believe that the elections can be right. So they always allow those people in power to do it. But look at Senegal today. Why do you think Senegal was able to win the election? Or how do they call it? The new president, the 44-year-old guy.
Yeah. Traoré.
No, not Traoré. Ibrahim Traoré is in Burkina Faso. I'm talking about Senegal.
Okay, Senegal. The guy.
Yeah. I'm just missing the name.
I'll remember his name while we're conversing.
Yes,
I'll remember.
The name is just is just skipping my mind. But I'm saying that the only reason why Senegal was able to put this young man in position is because young people told sorry, the other name, Macky Sall was about doing a constitutional coup d'etat, trying to change the constitution to give him an extra mandate, which is something he fought back. Yes, exactly. These young people said, no, Macky Sall, you will not do that to us. And regardless of these other guys being 11 months in prison, they went to the street, and they did not just end to the streets to ensure that these guys can run, because initially he wasn't the one running for presidential election. These names are just going out. But all I'm saying is that it was one thing to go to the streets. It was another thing to take their voters' card and actually vote and secure their vote. Because look at it. It's one thing for you to go and vote, stay there. When the votes are counted, we all snap the votes to see that the votes were right, put on the internet. Because once we do that, we know that this number of people voted in this area, this number of people voted in this area. What am I saying? I'm telling young Africans that, look, you don't have to wait for government to give you a chance. It's not just in politics. Don't wait for government to give you land to do agriculture. Start doing somewhere, and the more you do it, the better you get. You will not wait for politicians to give you the chance to join politics. Start the politics from this age, because they too join politics really early. So we don't have to give them that chance. True, we need human capital on the continent. But all I'm telling young people is that take responsibility for your own lives. These guys will die. What kind of inheritance do we want to get from them? We must seize this responsibility and make of this continent what we want it to be.
Okay,
sorry,
thank you, Felix.
Emotional when I talk about Pan-Africanism.
It's so okay. That's the reason why I called both of you on this. I know you guys are fire when it comes to Africa, so that's why. So, Kaltumi, please just shoot. From Sally.
Issues around the young people.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Before I delve deep into talking about the role of young people towards taking Africa to that pedestal in the global arena, we cannot divert from talking about the historical trajectories that has brought Africa to its present position. One thing that I always talk about and make very clear is issue about coloniality. I'm sure Felix is also one of, I think a recent webinar also talked about coloniality. We must understand that coloniality is different from colonialism. Coloniality is like an output. It's like a fruit that develop, from a tree. Now, coloniality it goes beyond an epistemological movement or a political movement. No, it is the control of the mind. It is the control of the psyche, the way you think, and the things that you think that you know. That is coloniality. Now, even the 20th century that was supposed to bring a post-colonial world, what did it bring? It didn't happen. Rather, what ensued is global coloniality, global capitalism, and Eurocentrism. You know, the ideology, that thought that makes you feel that Africa is not good for you, and that you can see a lot of issues around migration these days. We see a lot of young people.
Just to interject, Marcus Garvey was the one who says that the white man has convinced the black man that being a black is a curse. Could continue. I'm just trying to assert your
Right. So we have a lot of scholars, the likes of Ali Marie, the likes of Maldonado Torres, the likes of Mingalo. They've talked about how coloniality has taken Africa, 10 times backward than it was originally. Let me quote Ngungi Wationgo. Ngungi Wationgo said that the dismemberment of Africa from its history, has contributed to the recent conflict that we are still fighting in Africa today, which of course has a lot of effect on young people. Africa has the youngest population in the world. When it comes to human resource, Africa has it. This one is not, it has nothing to do with natural resources now. Talking about human resource, we have the youngest population. And what should that tell us? When you have a young population, it means that you have a better position, to reach that stage of growth and development both in social, political, and economic, stability. That is what it should be. But why is the case of Africa different? Because we are still struggling from what they refer to as a Westphalian system. Most African colonies,
come again, please.
A Westphalian system, a system that is continuous in post-colonization, where, for instance, now Nigeria, most of our culture, we have abandoned them. It is the culture of the West. Even the democracy that we are practicing, that was not how our leadership was before. We practice monarch, just like how the West had their own different practices. We had kings. We have the Oba of. We have the call it for me. The Emir of Sokoto. We have that of Yoruba. Like we have. Exactly, we have a system that exists. Now, talking about young people, as much as we know that there are so many roles that young people can play in contributing towards the growth and the development of, now bringing it to context, let's say Nigeria, not even Africa now, let's also not forget that there are so many factors that are thwarting young people from fulfilling their potentials and aspirations. Today, we have so many resolutions. 2250, we have 3025, blah, 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 talking about young people, meaningful and constructive participation, both in peace building, in policy and advocacy, negotiation, mediation, name it. But in reality, what are the structures in place to ensure that there is intentional implementation of these policies? In politics, for instance, we talked about the not too young to run bill. But trust me, a lot of young people are too poor. Politics now
I feel sorry. This is a joke. I feel it should be not too broke to run.
Exactly, right? Because I mean, let's be sincere to ourselves. I like to speak to context because I know my country better than, Felix. I shouldn't expect to know more about Cameroon than Felix. Now, speaking to context as a Nigerian, most of our leadership position now, is it based on intellectual competency? No. I'm sorry to say, but leadership now is about, it's like a reward, it's like a political reward. It's like a party reward. Okay, this person contributed his or her vehicle. Let's give him an SA. This person did, let's give him a. That is why we are crumbling as a nation. Now we are practically like in a state of comatose because a lot of institutions are dysfunctional. So even when you talk about young people participation, there's a saying that an ability without an opportunity is useless. I might have all the intellect that I need to be a leader, but if I do not have that platform, if I don't have a platform to showcase that talent, then it becomes useless. And that is what is happening with a lot of young people in Nigeria. Now, in Nigeria today, we have a lot of Nigerians who are just waiting on the street, but they have talent that are yet to be tapped.
Okay,
they have potential that are yet to be tapped.
This is
do we have the platforms for them?
This is still in train of your thoughts. You really want to pick this question, then Felix should be next. I am going to be so direct with this question now. Why?
Okay.
Because both of you, I know you, I have followed your works over the years. I know you guys are involved directly with youth engagement, youth empowerment. So my question to you, honestly, is this. What are the challenges of youth empowerment and leadership in Africa? With your
First
wealth
and
of
foremost,
experience.
leadership ineffectiveness. For me, I do say that there's no such thing as poor leadership. It is ineffectiveness of leadership. That is because, number one, we are not choosing our leaders based on their vision that they have. Because leadership, there's always what is called adaptive leadership. Adaptive leadership is about not running away from difficult situations, from solving difficult situations. It's about providing a better state of life for people. But no, this has now been, has been cloned now to be what I refer to as political leadership, and not longer transformational or visionary leadership. Gone are those days where we had young people who came out, because they are pained by the backwardness of Africa, in spite all the natural resources, all the skills and the potentials that we have. But these days, everything is about is the idea of state capture, where somebody wants to divert an entire public treasure into a family affair. So what are we talking about? So as long as we continue to run away from solving difficult situations, we bring issues of religious division, cultural division, and we run away from facing, we continue to be sentimental and hypocritical, in talking about facts about what the issues are in our country. There is no way we are going to have that kind of leader that we seek to have, because I, as Kaltumi, for instance, if I come out and I wanted to be the president, there are so many people who will debunk that purpose. There are so many people who will stand as a pedestal to make sure that I don't. That is when you begin to hear issues about gender. Oh, she's a woman. We can't have a woman do this. That is when you begin to see, to talk about issues of minority in tribe. There are so many factors that people can use, and they will not vote for you, even when you have the qualities. So I do not have money to bribe people to vote for me. So what do you expect? So
Okay,
at the end of
Felix.
the day, we still have people who only become leaders because they have resources that young people don't have. So at the end of the day, we keep having the same cycle of people repeating the cycle of leadership.
All right, thank you very much, Kaltumi. Felix, straight up, what are the challenges of youth empowerment and leadership with your wealth of experience so far? What are the challenges you faced?
So I think that in terms of challenges as to how we can further empower young people, the first challenge would be, for me, a question of mindset, what Kaltumi calls coloniality.
Coloniality, yes.
Yeah. Where every young person has given up that anything good can happen on the continent. Every young person believes that if I must make it, I will either need to travel to Europe or I'm going to need to relocate to America at all costs. Look at the number of young people who are dying in the Mediterranean Sea on their way to Europe, or even dying in the Amazon forest around Mexico on their way to the United States. Now, I think that we must improve our mindset, and improving our mindset means, first, the entertainment world has a huge role in this. Now, I don't know about you Nigerians, but the way we see Nigerians is not the way you guys see Nigerians. I tell you why. The way Hollywood, I'm talking about the showcase movies, I'm talking about, the way these musicians are displaying Nigeria, most of the continent believes that Nigeria is a place we need to relocate to, because the buildings we see on
Kaltumi, you didn't laugh.
TV.
I am laughing.
I tell you, no, but I'm serious, because this is it. If our entertainment industry can paint a different image about our continent, then more young people would love to be on the continent. There is this guy I follow on YouTube. I don't know if you guys know Wodemaya from Ghana. Wodemaya is a YouTuber. I could call him a blogger who once relocated to China, and because of the treatment and life in China, he decided, you know what, I'm going to buy cameras and I'll travel around the continent showing the other face of Africa we don't see on TV. You know, the face of Africa we see on TV is this child suffering from malnutrition, or is this instance of, you know, war, you know, all those chaotic things we turn to see on the continent. What the Maya instead was showing what is beautiful about Ethiopia, what is beautiful about Nigeria, what is beautiful about Cameroon. You know, showing those things, bringing a different image about the continent. And I promise you, because of that, a lot, if just, you know, just type somewhere with the Maya and see how much he has made people want to travel across the continent to be able to, you know, admire those things for themselves and see that indeed Africa is not what we see around them. So I'm saying that the entertainment industry has a huge role to play. And that is why currently the president of Turkey, what's that his name again? Erdogan. Erdogan has imposed on the entertainment industry of Turkey the kind of movies, the kind of songs, the kind of drama they must play in their country, because he wants to show to them what the Ottoman Empire used to be. You remember that the Ottoman Empire once ruled the world the way America is ruling the world. Yeah. So he wants his citizens to know how great they used to be and how great they are. There is no brander in the world like America. America knows tremendous branding. My guy, I was in the US in 2022 for the Mandela Washington Fellowship. Yeah, and I promise you, the US I saw when I was there is no different from Johannesburg I go to almost every 3 months. When I travel the streets of Virginia, Texas, and Washington, D.C., I promise you, when I look at Johannesburg, I've been to Johannesburg, I've been to Pretoria, I've been to Durban, I'm yet to go to Cape Town. I don't see any difference with those two places. As a matter of fact, I'm tempted to say that Joburg is far more beautiful than some places I visited in America. But you know the image we see about America, everybody wants to travel to America. In fact, when we watch movies, if there is any global crisis in the world, if America does not step in, then nothing will change. Like America has a pioneer touch. And I don't blame Americans for doing that. Every country is fighting for its self-interest. And it is about time that we Africans also portray that kind of image to the world. So what I'm saying is that one of the things we are facing as challenges is that of mindset. And I'm saying that the entertainment world can play an important role in making Africans see the beautiful part of our continent. Things are changing progressively, but we need to add up to it. The next challenge is our educational systems. Guys, notice that the educational system we are using in most of our countries today was a copy and paste of the colonial masters' educational system.
Absolutely.
It is so bad, so much so that in Cameroon, we did not just copy and paste the educational system, we even copied and paste the educational timing. For example, this is summer. This is summer in most European countries. So most of them, places are hot during summer. So most of them will not, I mean, they don't go to school, they go to the beach, have some fun with their families and everything. And in most of tropical Africa, this is the peak of the rainy season, when it rains the most, where places are cold. But notice that in the country like my country, Cameroon, this is where we also take our long holidays. 3 months, like they take 3 months that way. This is instead a period where we should have been in school, because when places are cold, biologically, we tend to read and understand better, like they do during the winter. Instead, in Cameroon, when we are at the peak of our dry season, around January, February, December, that is when we're in school. You need to see me sleep in our maths classes, because our maths teacher is teaching maths when places are really hot, my guy. Guess what? I was sleeping. So we need to build an educational curriculum that is reflective of our needs on our continent. I used to see on social media where they will show, I don't know if you guys did it in Nigeria, but we in primary school, we were learning how to draw grasshoppers. We were learning how to name the parts of grasshoppers And you know, I'm not saying that studying insects and studying different species of fishes are not important, but how is that thing helping the continent grow right now? We see videos in China where
I'm sorry
they
to
teach.
interject. I'm sorry to interject. I'm sorry. I just don't want
Yes.
to lose this stuff. Someone also raised a concern in line with what you're saying, that why can't African scholars translate all these our physics textbook, chemistry textbook to our local language? If you can nativize chemistry and call it in our Hausa dialect, in Yoruba dialect, put a name on it, you'll be surprised that that boy that you think is a village boy, a bush boy, he has this creative mentality to even build steel, to build things. So please continue. I'm just, I just want to keep that
And
in mind.
also, sorry, sorry to interject. Also,
Go ahead.
Felix, just so that it wouldn't just escape my mind. Just to ride on what you're saying, Dimeji. But this is why I talked about leadership as the very first problem that we have. As a continent, leadership, because when you have leaders who has approved that, for God Almighty's sake, as a Nigerian, our first language is English. And then for me to travel abroad, I'm asked to write a mandatory test to see if I can speak that English or not, or if I can write and understand the English or not. Even though sometimes there are people who argue that, oh, it's about their accent. Sometimes we don't understand their accent. I'm like, but these same people come to our home countries. We don't bug them. Nobody bugged them about understanding our accent. If it is so, let's make it mandatory also. If these guys are coming to Nigeria, learn how to speak Hausa or learn how to speak any of the 3 major languages. They should also go through an examination where we can test if we can understand their accent when they speak our languages. No, it is true. And what is more, and the most annoying thing about this, this process is the fact that it's not even forever. When you write that
Someone
exam, it
said
expires.
even those people can't speak or write correctly.
Exactly. And the most annoying fact is that you write this exam, it expires, I think, in 2 years, or I think a year or two. So does that mean I no longer know how to speak English? It doesn't make any sense. Like, people broad daylight are robbing people. Broad daylight, and our leaders accept it. Why? Because there is something. Kaltumi is not going to be the one to say it, but definitely there is something that
Please,
somebody somewhere is
please,
doing, telling
Ambassador
their own
Kaltumi,
people.
we need people like you to change Africa. So I know as much as we are passionate about it. I'm very certain. I told Felix in Egypt, Felix, I told you also when we left Egypt, I told you that I know that our time will come. It is certain. I just know it. But when our time comes, this is what we've been doing. We've been way prepared for it. So Felix, please complete your thought. We are so sorry to interject.
No problem, no problem. And do you know what is even more sad? They will measure how intelligent you are, or on how well you can speak English, or how well you can speak French, or how well you can speak Spanish. People will not care what I can do, what I can make happen, but my ability to use big grammar, blow big grammar and sound, that would actually make people think I'm intelligent. My ability to conjugate those verbs really well and use words that are not used every day.
I know.
Would be what people will use to determine how intelligent I am.
And it is an insult. It's an intellectual insult.
It is.
Can you imagine?
But this is something that we brag about.
Can you
It's part of
imagine?
ignorance. It is ignorance.
See, let me tell you this for free. Let me tell you this for free. I went to when I did my national diploma, I did journalism. So when I crossed to the University of Ibadan, I did English. So my friends were saying they were going to do discipline in phonetics. Me, I'm sorry. I've never just find any reason why I wanted to speak like it has never in my. So I just wanted to use the language to write story, to know how to shoot movie, to know how to. I have never. So I was trying to tell my colleagues that why do you want to speak like them? Why do you want to speak through your nose when we can open our mouth and speak properly? And they were like, no, I know, calm down. It has never interested me for once. So please continue.
That was one of the cultural shock that I had too. When I came back to Nigeria after spending some times in Europe and some other places. People were like, oh, Kaltumi, we're expecting that by the time you are back here, you're speaking phonetics. I'm like, thunder, fire, phonetics. Like, I've spent most of my life in Nigeria. So just because I lived abroad for some time, so I should start, my tone of voice should change because of what? That is part of the coloniality that I initially talked about. That mindset and ideology of what we think we know and how we do it has really, really affected us as a country, including when it comes to control of power and authority, even sex, even gender and sexuality. We can see what is going on these days about sexuality. I will not delve into that so that nobody come and
please
hold
don't let us get into that, because
No, guys,
that's a
I'm going to
deeper
dive
way.
into it. Guys, I'm going to dive into it. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. I talking about the LGBTQ community. This is my view. Some people are naturally born with an inclination towards a particular gender, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what saddens me today is that there is a whole agenda that is hugely sponsored to push people to that particular way of living. And it's not right.
Absolutely.
It's not right. Whether we like it or not, we need to say it. And we also need to be cognizant of the fact that countries do have cultures that are peculiar to themselves. Why would they refuse that I should marry a second wife or a third wife, but they want me to marry my fellow man?
The question, wait, Felix, the question I asked someone here was this. When we were engaging and they were talking, I said, okay, fine. I'm not here to debate who is more civilized or whatever. The person is an European, but the person has an open mind. We always have this, intellectual conversation. So she said, I heard that in Africa, you guys engage in polygamy. And I said, if everybody is condemning, do you think a culture where you are telling me you can do this certain thing, I can even decide today that I don't want to be this anymore and decide to be the opposite? Do you think you have the moral compass to tell me that a culture marrying 2 wives and 3 wives is not right? I said, I don't think you are in the right position to. And she kept quiet. For one, she kept quiet. I said, it's because you guys don't respect other people. That's why you think you are here to be probably to play God over other people. So I said, so while I'm keeping quiet over your culture, and I perceive that to be respect, also I would love you to keep quiet on my culture, and I'll perceive that. You are not here to come and tell me why will a man marry 3 wives. The way you are shocked, I'm also shocked in many things in your culture, but I don't talk about it. So let us just keep quiet and respect ourselves.
And you don't impose your own culture to them.
No, that. So it's just all about respect. Respect my culture and my view, and I respect yours.
I'm not more a Christian, but I should be a pastor, because some years back I used to tell my friends in Cameroon that yes, I'm not more a Christian, and I can tell you.
I know, but you putting it out there. I know, but I know the way you put it
I assume I embrace my African spirituality with all my heart, the same way those who accept to be Muslim, Buddhist, or Christians accept. I am a proud African traditionalist, But what I'm saying is that I used to, before the church gave a statement, I think last year or so, saying that why, if people want to get married amongst themselves, say same marriage, why don't you bless them? Are they not also children of God? Guy, I was born in a polygamous family. My dad had 2 wives. I was born a Catholic Christian. My grandparents were also Catholics. And in the Catholic Church, you see, my mother came into that marriage as a second wife. My mom was not giving communion in church because she got married into a polygamous home. My father couldn't take communion anymore. My stepmom couldn't take communion. You know why? Because they were polygamous. So the church did not mind. Up to today, it's still the same thing. The church did not think about the fact that although they have gotten married into polygamy, they are still children of God, and God sees them that way. The church will refuse to bless my marriage with 2 women or 3 women, but they will not mind blessing the marriage of me married men. God forbid that one. You know what I'm saying?
My wife will kill you.
God forbid that one. But anyway, all I'm saying is that it's has always been a question of state interests. States fight for their interests. And whether we want it or not, the global West is afraid of the growing population of the African continent. We need to tell ourselves the truth. Because they know what they did to us during colonialism, and they are afraid that when our population will significantly outgrow theirs, we will look at history and will do to them what they did to us. They are failing to realize that we are not inherently wicked.
Well,
go across Africa.
Two more questions to go. And with what you are saying now, I want to chip in the second to the last question, and I'll chip in the last. Now, with what you're saying right now, you made mention of something, Felix, while you were talking, and I will tag it as soft power. From your words,
sorry, the life of a mother.
Okay. Please take your time. I'm also a father, I understand. So you were saying something the other time, Felix. You said soft power. I could categorize what you said, so I will explain what I mean by soft power. You said, with your explanation, African countries leveraging on its multitude of cultures and languages to influence global perception. So, with our, that is soft power in a way, because we can see that happening in entertainment. We are exporting our culture. We are exposing it to the world, and we are proud of it. We see it in our movies, we see it in our fashion, we see it in our, in our attitude, in our character, in our courage. So my question is, can we now say that we are playing into the wrong ends, or we are actually moving in the right direction in that perspective?
So my view is this: we no plant will grow effectively without its roots. The tree with the deepest root is the tree that grows the best. What am I saying? We cannot cut off from our culture and think we would develop or we would grow. It is impossible. When you look at the pillars of development, we will talk about having a cultural identity. Having a cultural identity means having a language that is peculiar to you, having an alphabet that is reflective of your culture, having a currency that is peculiar to you, having a government that is truly that of the people, and we can name those things. You would never be really developed if you don't look inwardly. And I am not by any way trying to say that Africans should dump the Western culture and only stick on the African culture. There is always room for innovation and for blending. All I'm saying is that we should be very critical to know what we accept and reject what is not useful for us. Even the West comes and takes what is useful from Africa and reject what they deem not to be useful for the continent. So there is nothing wrong in having a blend. Look at, one of the things that is making Nigerian music to really thrive today? The Nigerian music industry is thriving because most of your artists have been able to bring Afro-pop in a hip-hop way. There is a little bit of
there's a fusion.
There is a lot of Africanity
there's a fusion
in our music. I promise you, in the early 2000s in Cameroon, we used to spend most of our time listening to Sean Paul, 50 Cent, Rihanna, Beyonce, and everything. All over Cameroon right now, what we listen to is Davido. You name all those
Nigerian,
honestly,
Burna Boy.
that is what is happening in Cameroon now. And that is the same conversation Cameroonians are telling other Cameroonians that just like Nigeria is doing, we cannot thrive in our music industry if we don't also bring a component of Cameroonian culture in it. So all I'm saying is that, look, if any Westerner is listening to us today, we are not saying that we want to dissociate from the West at all. All we Africans are asking for is minimum respect to our own cultural identity and values. Respect to us also running our things the way we want it. and have win-win partnerships. When I talk about win-win partnership, it's not a partnership where the West will tell us this is the way it must be done in your country and so on. You are a nation, you are a sovereign state, we are also sovereign states. So let's operate on a partnership basis where we are equal partners.
Where there is mutuality.
Exactly, that is all we are asking for. Don't impose to me your culture. I will not impose to you my culture. If I feel there is some part of your culture that can be important for me, I will take what I need and I'll leave what I don't need. You don't need to tell me this is the way you must educate, this is the way you must rule. Kaltumi mentioned something. Do you know why democracy is failing in Africa? Because we decided to do a copy and paste democratic system. Before they came, were we having democracy? Even if we must do democracy, we can rethink our democracy.
It should be nativized. It should be
you understand?
A democracy that it has our own face.
Exactly. Look at Germany today. In Germany, the former German Chancellor Angela Merkel, I think she did close to 60 years in power. But did she not actually do the will of the Germans? She did it. Look at democracy in Russia today. We too can rethink our democracy. Before they came, our system was centered around our chiefdoms. You know, Nigerians, how much we respect our chiefs in our local, territories.
Absolutely.
Why don't we build a leadership system that is reflective of that culture? That is what we are looking for today.
I'm sorry because we are already calling it a wrap. That's why I know people are not ready for this our conversation. We can spend 2 years. I know Felix and I, we've way back. Sometimes we might skip meal all on arguments and conversation. So I'm not surprised. So Kaltumi, the question I asked for how's your boy doing? He could also join you. He's not too ready for African conversation.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's okay. Big shout out to him. Big shout out to your husband too. Thank you very much. All right. The question I asked Felix was soft power. From Felix's conversation, I could deduce that what he was trying to say about African countries leveraging on our multitude of cultures and languages to influence global perception. I now ask that is that a way forward, or have we actually played in the wrong hand?
Castro once said that in a state of lawlessness, obedience becomes illegal. There's something I always tell people. When you hear the word fire, what is the first thing that comes into your mind? Destruction, isn't it? Burning, destruction, and whatever. But one thing with fire is that it has a positive, aspect of it. For instance, let me give you an example. As we are all, I'm sure you are in the UK now, maybe. You are in Cameroon and I'm in Nigeria right now. If you look around yourself, you can, and look at every single thing in your house, you can hardly mention any non-living thing that is made without going through the process of fire. Correct? So you can see that now how you manage fire determines the results, be it positive or negative. If you use fire the wrong way, it causes destruction. And if you use it in a good way, there are a lot of positive outcome and even output of fire. Now, this is the situation that we have, in Africa as a continent. Remember, I quote an African scholar called Igungi Wationgo, where he said that
he's actually one of my favorite writers. He wrote Devil on
Me too.
my
Yeah.
he influenced my writing. So
I love that man because he's someone who obviously understand African context and history and how it has interjected into our present situation, be it in leadership, be it in religion, be it in power, control, and authority, be it in gender and sexuality, name it. Everything he has talked about it. Now, let's not forget what the 1884 to 1885 Berlin Conference has cost us as Africans, where few people sat on a table and divided Africa like a piece of cake. dismantled and fragmented an entire continent, an entire race of people of collectivism, a community of people, the spirit of Ubuntu which Africans used to have, and we lived quite peacefully compared to, this whole after the leadership of the imperials. Now, talking about de-imperialization is now riding on what Felix has talked about, is that we must go back to our root as Africans. There are ways, there's what we call alternative dispute resolution and early mutual evaluation in peace building. There are gonna those days where we had elders in a community that when there is conflict, we trust these people. We believe that they have the wisdom. Just a saying that intelligence can take you far, but wisdom keeps you there. And that's what differentiates a normal person and a leader, somebody who is charismatic, an expert leader, a servant leader, someone who has reference power, on people. And let's not forget, a very wise scholar called W. Gali once said that power is an essentially consented concept, meaning that if leadership is about power, then there will be no such thing as mutiny. Stop and think about it. In the military, there will be no such thing as mutiny. So subordination is not about how you exert power on people, and leadership is about followership. Now, bringing it back to context now to your question. Africans, we need to go back to our roots, because most of what we are suffering today, the conflictogenic nature of Africa today, is because we have forgotten to trace our root back to whom we really are. We have forgotten our identity. We have forgotten our cultural heritage. We have forgotten even before colonization, Africans were known for art and craft. They knock art. We were known for handworks, but we've left a lot of these things because we were told and convinced that industrialization is the future. And then what happened? Look at us as Africans today. We don't even produce a toothpick, in spite of the deceit that this is what is good for us. Now, again, talking about issue of Eurocentrism. So we need to go back to our roots, to remember people back to their identity, back to what they know and understand as their identity, and to practice what we used to know as peace, as our cultural heritage, as our belief, as there are so many things that makes us, very unique as Africans. And I'll tell people categorically, without any hesitation, that Africa is the best place to live. Believe it or not.
Yeah,
I've traveled to all parts of the continent before. Thank God for that opportunity. And I'll tell you.
And coming from you, I like that statement. That statement should be on billboard. Coming from you.
Honestly, Africa is the best place to live, because living when I lived in Europe, I was traumatized, I was depressed. The only thing that kept me going is keeping in touch with people back home. So that is because I grew up, my cycle of socialization was shaped in a way of collectivism, right? A community. I grew up in a setting of a community where we rely on one another. And that is where we are not getting it right these days. These days, everybody wants to, I am enough, I'm a big boy. Everybody wants to be a big boy and a big girl. Isolation. Absolutely. People working in isolation. We must collaborate. I understand that we have issues of diversity, which is supposed to be a positive, it's supposed to be a sort of a positivity towards and not a negativity. There is good in diversity. And I cannot say, we are all the same. No, we're not all the same. I don't like when somebody say, we are all the same, we're all brothers. Yes, we are brothers and sisters. There's brotherhood and sisterhood, but there are differences that we have based on our, on our cycle of socialization and all of that. We need to accept that we are different. I'm a Muslim. Felix is a traditionalist. You are a Christian. I need to accept that this person is different from me. His worldviews is different from my own worldviews. Now, so how do we deconstruct and then reconstruct those differences that we have, so that we can leverage on our similarities and we fall back to our identity, to build a nation that is better for everyone? We need to stop this. You talked about copy and paste. If only our leaders even know how to paste. They know how to copy, but when they paste, it becomes a destruction. Because you do not have a system. You do not have a system. That is in line with what you have pasted, and that is why the people continue to suffer from those borrowed policies that people just go and copy and paste and bring it to Africa and it's gonna work. Just to summarize
Yeah.
this, just to summarize it, yeah, just to summarize things up, as a young person, what I would say to another young person is that we need to collaborate. We need to work together. We need to stop this who takes the glory. We need to stop doing this. We need to stop this unhealthy, toxic competition of who goes there first. A wise man once said that if you want to go fast in life, you can go alone. But if you want to go far, you have to go with others. We need one another. We need each other. We need to revive that spirit of Ubuntu back to Africa, where me and my neighbor is no longer a competition of who owns the latest Mercedes or whatever. We need to stop the hate, the antagonism, and the animosity that exists in our system. It has to stop. We need to be aware of the idea of colonialism and how it has resulted to coloniality, which is now controlling our system, our leadership, the power and authority today in Africa.
Oh,
so let me just stop here.
You guys are fire. This is going to be the last. The last question is a statement, and that is going to be our wrap. But before then, I want to say thank you. To me, ever since I started this trip and Cathedral, there has been no episode that has fully represent my ideology than this. You know why? You made mention of the fact that I am a Christian, Kaltumi a Muslim, Felix a traditionalist, and that is exactly the picture. That is exactly my mindset, because I use Cathedral because I always say it's a symbol of spiritualism, and there's no spiritualism I know. I could have said street and shrine, but there's no. That would have been a dishonest thing for me. It's just like, it should have been honest if that has come from Felix. You understand? But I needed something that it would be a truth from me, and at the same time, I would be able to explain to people that it doesn't represent what they think Cathedral is. Cathedral is different from church. You understand? So it is a spirituality, which I know that it's part of our essence in life. We have our social aspect, educational aspect, and spirituality. So I want to say thank you. Now, my last question, which is always more like a submission or your closing statement, is where we predict the future, because there's no way we've taught the historical antecedents, we've taught the contemporariness of things, but there's no way I would have intellectuals in my space and I don't ask them what they project in the next maybe 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Are things going to get better, or do they see things becoming worse? Which I'm going to read a statement I wrote personally. Then I will now ask you that, which is your own projection in, let's say, 20 years to come. Where do you see Africa? So I wrote, it is quite noteworthy that Africa over time has made notable strides in reclaiming its narratives and standing. Could one affirm in our predictions that Africa will become a global force that can no longer be overlooked? So that was that was my ending pose. Okay, I'm good. Yes, please jump in, please, straight.
So I tell you what, things are getting better, and things will get better. Whether we want it or not, things are getting better and things will get better. You know, it's true that a lot of our African kids are relocating out of the continent, looking for greener pastures abroad. But look at something. Although these young people are leaving the continent, when the continent needs them, but guess what? Most of them get to a specific age or a specific realization where they tell themselves, you know what? I need to contribute to the well-being of my continent. And eventually they are going to come. When we look at the Middle East, when we look at most of these countries in Asia, where they are today, one of the things that contributed to that development is that those scholars from the Middle East and Asia that relocated to Western countries to learn, eventually at some point brought back that knowledge in their countries, and their countries are growing to the point where they are today. You know, it is even a good thing that we are going to those countries, because now we see how different things are from what we are doing home, and how we can build upon what is happening in our homes. And whether we like it or not just young people, even these old people sitting in power, their brothers and sisters in the house or in the neighborhoods are tired of the way things are. And whether we want it or not, human
I think Felix network, the network is
I think that, sorry?
Your network was buffering, so.
Oh, sorry. That is why
It's okay.
Africans have need to come and help improve our network on the continent. Are you able to hear me, guys?
Yeah, we
can hear you now.
Anyway, yeah, so what I'm saying is that whether we like it or not, things will get better. Increasingly, like I said, today you don't need to look for information. Information comes and meets you. And whether we like it or not, the kind of actions you are leading Jemendi and the comments I'm seeing in the chat section, a lot of people are hungry to see change. And it's about time. You know that plants don't grow at the same rate or with the same quantity of fertilizers or grow at different pace. Eventually, Africa is getting there. We are taking baby steps. But guys, I promise you, do not undermine these conversations we are having. Do not undermine all of these things we are seeing. It is playing a huge role on where the continent is heading to. And you are only attacked when you are doing well. The reason why Africa is being attacked today is because of where we are heading to. And all I would tell Africans is that we shouldn't give up on improving ourselves. And the beautiful thing about this continent is that we don't hate. We are a welcoming people. Regardless of the colonization or the slavery Africans have gone through, I'm sure there's a receptive continent like the African continent. And that is what makes the beauty about our continent. And with these qualities on our continent, my predictions is that things will eventually get better. It might take time, but I can tell you that things are getting better.
All right. Thank you very much, Felix. Kaltumi, that would be our ending statement. What do you think? From what, like, will Africa become a global force that can no longer be overlooked? So, what's your prediction? Like, let's say in the next 20 years and all.
There's this Mexican proverb that I love so much. It says that they tried to bury us, but they didn't know we are seeds. Africans have gone through a lot, and we are so resilient that we are where we are today. We are not there yet, but I am positive that we are going to get there. You know why? Because the world cannot do without Africa as a continent. The world needs Africa, to survive. The world needs us, and that is why it is evident why everyone is coming to Africa. Because like I said again, let me reiterate, Africa is the best place to live in the world. We have all it takes. We have the potentials, be it natural resource, be it human resource. We have it all. All we need to do is just to strategically position ourselves, especially our leadership space. We need to strategically, ensure that we get it right. Once we get our leadership right, trust me, Africa is going to sit on the pedestal of the pedestal of the global world. We are going to be sitting right there where the world is going to depend on us. This time around, we'll be the one, setting exams for people to come to Africa. So we're heading there, and I'm sure I'm positive about that.
Oh, thank you very, very much. You guys have been so amazing. You see, they say let them do the talk themselves. You can hear from Felix and Kaltumi. These guys are big icons that I so much respect. They're my colleagues, and I want to say thank you for taking time out. I know you guys are very, very busy. I appreciate you. I know the sacrifice you guys have paid to even be here, and I also know the contribution you made behind closed doors. to improve Street and Cathedral. Like I said, I do not take you guys for granted. I value this conversation. Just for you to know, Street and Cathedral will be at some point in time be made available on Spotify. I'm working on something. As you can see, I've been working on my home studio, trying to, but these are the questions that I've been trying to project right from here, because I know that the time is now. It can never be tomorrow. It is now, and I'm ready to seize the opportunity to also hear my voice. So thank you. As you can hear, you guys that have been on live, so I want to appreciate you. You can hear from them. The era of passive Africa is fading, and its voice is set to rise above historical constrictions and ready to contribute constructively to the narrative that will shape the world for generations to come. Felix, Kaltumi, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And Street and Cathedral, we appreciate you also for coming on board, gracing this event. I can't thank you enough. Do you have a closing remark for the session so far, or for people? Anything as your closing remark, then we call it a quit.
Well, for me, maybe I will just reiterate on a quote that Felix earlier mentioned, which is by Alvin Toffler, that says that the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who could not learn or learn and relearn. So I would just say in summary that we need to unlearn some of our policies, some of our bureaucracies, some of those copied and pasted, stuff that is not really working for us as Africans. And let's not forget that we need each other to grow. Let's support one another in whatever we are doing. Please support your fellow young person in whatever they are doing. If you cannot encourage them, please do not be a weapon used against them. Let's showcase Africa in a positive image when we are out there. We can talk about the problem that we have within Africa when we are in Africa amongst ourselves, but when we are out there, please, how you present yourself, how you showcase Africa as a continent is very important. Let's not forget that.
All right, Sir Felix, what would be your closing remark? People want to hear from you. Thank you. So what would be your closing remark? Felix, can you hear me? Yeah, we can hear you. Although the line is breaking, but we can manage.
But all we want is that eventually come and let's build modern Africa together. Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you. Sir Felix, appreciate you. Kaltumi, your passport, send it to me. I need to use it. And your soap. Thank you, guys.
Yes.
So we'll have our closed door conversation afterwards. Appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Bye for now.
Bye.